Get your kids out of government schools. I know you've heard me say it 1,000 times. By this point in time, I hope when I start saying it, you are simultaneously rolling your eyes, but saying it along with me. Get your kids out of government schools. They are not fixable at this point. Your kids are your responsibility to raise and educate. You cannot send your children for 7, 8 hours a day into these institutions. I'm not judging either. Everybody has their own situation. Maybe you're in a situation where you can't. I get that. There's no judgment here. I'm certainly not one to judge anybody else's parenting. But if at all humanly possible, get your kids out of government schools. You know, I've told you 1,000 times, these people are communists. They are cultural Marxists. Communists have never once looked at the youth of a nation and thought to themselves, well, let's let them grow up first. I mean, let them find themselves, and then we'll teach them about communism. That's not how they think. They don't think like that. That's how you think. And you know what? Good for you. That's a healthy way to think. Communists do not think like that. They look at kids, yours. They look at mine, and they say, we got to get in there. We got to teach him now. We have to teach him now to be a good little servant of the state. And how are you going to teach somebody that here in America? Well, as I've said before, we have cultural Marxists here because we don't have bread lines. You know, you can sell regular old-fashioned communism in the Soviet Union when they're waiting in line for a loaf of bread. No one's waiting in line for a loaf of bread here. What do we have here? Well, we have a bunch of people who've been taught white guilt their whole lives. So you're evil. Purvis Middle School in Mississippi under fire for this. They had a slave letter writing activity. You see it there. I'm not making these things up. New Jersey, their schools will now teach equity, unconscious bias, and economic inequality to kindergartners. This is the New Jersey Diversity and Inclusion Law. The instruction, opposed by several Republicans, will promote diversity, equity, inclusion, tolerance, and belonging in connection with gender and sexual orientation, race and ethnicity, disabilities, and religious tolerance. It also directs schools to examine the impact that unconscious bias and economic disparities have at both an individual level and on society as a whole. Please understand me. Communists are all the same. America's communists are no different than communists have always been. They want your kids. I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying that to wake you up. And that little communist kindergarten teacher of yours, 6th grade, 9th grade, senior in high school, without question college, they don't stand in front of your kid's class and say to themselves, I'm going to teach them math today. They stand in front of your child's class and say, how can I teach them about communism today? How can I teach them that they're evil for their skin color or their sexual orientation or whatever I have to teach them? That's what I'm going to do to push communism. That's how they think. They don't separate it. There is no compartmentalization. That is how these people think. And the reason I spend so much time talking about communism on the show is because too many on the right, forget about the left, they're gone. Too many on the right still think that this is a Republican versus Democrat thing, or that this is about, just a little while longer, we'll have the midterms. Or you know what? 2024, we will take it all back. I don't care who the president of the United States is. I mean, I do, but that's not winning us this battle. You could have had Donald Trump for another 30 years, and it doesn't win you this battle. They have the schools. They have the culture. They have the entire federal bureaucracy. We have a mountain of work to do. Now, that doesn't mean we give up and quit, but this is not about winning an election. It's not about your local jerkwater congressman. It's not even about the president of the United States. We have an entire culture we have lost And we have to take it back. And we have to have that mentality, or we're never going to be able to take it back ever. Ever. Get your kids out of government schools. Hey, thanks so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me.